could I ask you to introduce yourself?
Sure, Simone Fruin. I'm the muster coordinator for Kaimanawa Heritage Horses.
And can you tell me what we're doing here today?
Well, at the moment, we're all standing around in great anticipation, waiting for the weather to clear so that the helicopters can get over and start bringing in some horses to the yards below us.
And what's the goal of the muster this year? What in terms of numbers and rehomings and all of that sort of thing?
Well, the last count produced in excess of 321 horses. So the objective of today is to bring in at least half of that number and get them off to homes.
And we've started working with you guys this year and sending some product home with these horses. What kind of stresses do these guys face?
Huge, absolutely huge. These are wild horses, but they're quite unique compared to other wild horses around the world in that they have no predators. So stress is a completely foreign concept for the horses here, and they're being brought in with helicopters. They're then being separated from their family groups. These horses form lifelong bonds, and so that in itself is a huge stress. Then they're put onto trucks, they're sent through to our holding yards where they're drenched. They have a very high parasite burden, so being drenched really takes it out of them too, can make them quite sick. Then they go on to homes and where everything is completely new, it's completely different pasture types. They've got confinement, which they've never experienced until they're mustered. So it's if they were human, a lot of people would be in therapy for the rest of their lives after such an experience.
What's different about rehoming a Kaimanawa? I mean, some people might have experience with horses, but what's different about bringing a Kaimanawa into your home?
Just the fact that they are a completely clean slate. They have no understanding of humans and all our trappings. So every reaction that you get from them is something that you're responsible for, and you basically shape who they become in a domestic environment.
Now, we're very happy to be associated with you guys. Can you tell me a little bit about the history and the present of Kaimanawa Heritage Horses?
Yeah, well, Kaimanawa Heritage Horses evolved out of previous groups. I've been involved since 1996 in previous groups, and there were several of us that sort of wanted to really concentrate on the welfare side of things with the horses. So, and we've come a long way from back in the 90s where horses were in huge numbers. Their health was appalling. They were very skinny and sick, and they weren't very good horses as far as horses go, whereas nowadays they're fit, they're in brilliant condition, and they look like they've just stepped out of somebody's paddock.
Yes, we've seen a few on the ridge lines. They're absolutely gorgeous. And how, if somebody wanted to support you guys, what would be the best form of support they could give right now?
Adopt a horse is ideal. Beyond that, financial support is always appreciated, and just spreading the word about Kaimanawa horses. Do some research, learn about the horses themselves. They're really fascinating. Their whole history is quite fascinating, and they're really special, and it's unique to New Zealand. Where the horses graze here is completely different to a lot of other places around the world, and it's something that we should be proud of.
Thank you very much.
My name is Pat Hibbs. I'm the Commandant of what's called the Wairu Military Training Facility. Today is day one of the muster. Our role is to make sure everybody gets in safely and gets out. And there's a little bit of work in the background to coordinate the training around the muster.
And what's been your personal involvement with the Kaimanawas?
Only in the role of being a soldier on the base. So I'm now sort of got 50 years up in uniform. I first saw them in '68. And they were stunted runty little animals, quite ugly actually. Now through the years we've seen them improve out of sight. But my role now in the last 10 years I suppose has been helping organise the muster and getting them off. But beyond that, no, I'm not a horsey person. I just like having them on the training area.
And what's going to be the end result of today? How many horses are you guys looking to bring out? What's the goal?
I'd say my goal is not my goal, it's the Department of Conservation. So the figure I believe that we're looking at for this first thing will be around 170 horses, to bring the number back to an agreed level of 300. But it will take one more muster after the current one.
And what's the relationship that you have with the horses the rest of the time? Do they fit in pretty well with training?
Yeah, they do. The horses are incredibly clever and adaptable. When we shoot, they'll move out of the danger area and watch. They won't run away. They're not scared of gunfire. Sometimes you may have to move them out of a training area, but generally speaking, they'll do that for us. They stand behind our ranges and are quite happy to have us shoot over the top of them. So we've got a great relationship with our horses, and they're a bit of a novelty, I suppose, now.
It's great to hear. Anything else that you think would be of interest to folks who are aware of the muster and aware of the Kaimanawas?
I think the biggest thing that they probably should be aware of is the fact that they are dependable and very hardy animals. I found them incredibly clever. So if we leave a gate, they'll be through the gate in 5 minutes. You've then got to cut them out. They're not scared. They're incredibly hardy. We've got an old guy over the back that we were discussing. He's well in excess of 25 years old, had a dislocated shoulder now for 5 or 6 years, and is still fat and happy out on the range. So they're a very hardy horse. They come from a wide range of stock too. So the colours, greys, duns, roans, even a palomino are part of the herd. So they've got quite different blood streams in them. You could get one that's quite fine, or you'll get a real stocky Clydesdale type horse. Great horses. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm Dave Lumley. I'm the operations manager for what we call the Central Plateau District of DOC.
And what are we doing here today?
Today when the mist clears, we're hopefully mustering up to sort of 170 odd horses, and they will be, most of those will be rehomed by either Kaimanawa Heritage Horses or the Wild Horse Preservation Society.
And what has been DOC's relationship with Kaimanawa Heritage Horses and the horses themselves here?
We've had a really good relationship over the past few years, and so much so that now that Heritage Horses now organise all the trucking from here. It's quite a tricky thing for DOC people to manage, so we've handed that over to them. We're in charge of the muster, and they're in charge of trucking the horses to homes.
And what's your view from a conservation point of view? How do the horses fit into this landscape?
So horses, way back there was only sort of, the population got down to about 180, and over years up to about 1997, the population had increased to about 2,000. So that's way too many for what this country can support. This is there's some very special landscapes out through here and some very rare plants. So we've agreed over the years, we have a Kaimanawa Wild Horse Advisory Group, and we've agreed with the group that will try and manage the population at about 300 for the welfare of the horses and the habitat that they live in. And so that's worked reasonably well until recently, when we realised that because the horses are in such good nick, they're increasing at the rate of 30% per annum. So that's taken us a bit by surprise, and it means we have to muster more horses this year.
And what role do the people who are rehoming horses play? Are they part of your management plan?
Yes, very definitely. They play a very important role in terms of they go behind the scenes and they interview prospective horse owners. Those people apply to take a horse, and they go and visit where they're planning to house the horse, and so only then, when they're comfortable, will the horses be allowed to go to those properties.
And how often do the musters happen? What's the future look like?
So musters now, they've been happening for the past 2 years, since '97. We're having to, because we've ended up with more horses than we realised this particular year, we're going to have to do 2 musters. So we'll do this one over the next this day and tomorrow, and then another muster in late May, more than likely.
And the next one will be in 2 years?
Next year. Ideally, the next one will be in 2 years. Yes. Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tom Wara.
And what are we doing here today?
We're doing the annual muster, Kaimanawa Wild Horse Muster.
And why is that important?
Well, we try and keep the numbers down. Food for the horses, so the horses are in better condition now than they were, 10 years ago. A lot of food now. Try and keep the numbers down to 300. So we'll muster out whatever number over 300 and try and find homes for them.
Now, you've trained a few Kaimanawas. Can you tell me what's special and different about these horses?
Well, what's special and different is that they are really, really clever horse. They're good for anything you put at them, whether it be pony club, show jumping, farm work, trekking, whatever. They are good. And the other thing is that they've never had any human stuff put into them, so they come with a clean slate. So they're really good and really clever, really good to work with.
Do they fit in well in their new homes?
If they've been treated properly right from the beginning, they fit in really, really well. Yep, they take you on as their new family, and they just become one of the family.
That family aspect is important, isn't it?
Yep, that's really important with them because they do look up to you as their family, so you've just got to be a part of it. And it's quite simple when you get to know them. They do go to your heart, so just like your own family, yeah.
And what do these Kaimanawas mean to you?
Well, I would hate to see them going to slaughter because they are part of us. They have been around here for a long time. And it's just something that we just, I like to be a part of it now and just try and save them. And because they're such a good animal. It's sad to see them just getting slaughtered when there's a home out there and work for them out there. So, they mean a lot now, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Could I ask you to introduce yourself?
I'm Tracy Thompson.
And what's happening here today?
We've just got 46 Kaimanawa wild horses turn up last night on the truck, and we're now sorting them out to go out to places around Hawke's Bay and down Wairarapa, plus some are staying here, so it's a busy day.
And you've been doing this for a while, have you?
2012 we got our first 3 boar, mare and foal combos, and it's just gone from there.
And why would you do that?
Because these horses deserve to live and someone's got to put their hand up to do it.
Now, what's special to you about a Kaimanawa?
They're wild horses, they've never been touched by people before, so they're quite different to handle to a domestic horse. Once you gain their trust, they're amazing companions. That does take quite a while to actually settle them in, gain their trust, but it's certainly the most rewarding experience I've ever done in my life, so I get a lot out of it.
And what use do you put these horses to?
I try to find homes for them. The reason I'm doing it is to give them a chance at life. I can't keep them all, so our choice is to try and quieten them and then find homes for them to go on to.
And how do they settle in when you do find them homes?
They all vary. Some horses settle in very quickly, some horses take a little longer. They're different, each one's different.
You've got a few here that are long-term residents, don't you?
I have. I've got a few that I'll never sell. They're my buddies. We've been through a big journey together, and no one else is ever going to get them because we've got quite a companionship going on.
And what do the Kaimanawas mean to New Zealand, do you think?
There's quite a romantic notion about them to a lot of people. They have quite a lot of history. People want to see them stay wild. Sadly, it's not really going to happen. They need to be managed. So, I think there's a lot of romance going on about the Kaimanawa.
Thank you very much. Yeah, they've chosen to come across lower than they normally did yesterday. Yeah, they came across kind of the middle there and didn't come up into the scrim. Poles wise.